Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something truly epic. These incredible journeys animals take across the planet.
Yeah, we're talking animal migration.
Exactly, not just, a quick trip.
Yeah.
Think monarch butterflies covering thousands of miles,
hmm
or Arctic terns flying literally pole to pole and back. It's just staggering.
It really is phenomenal. And when you dig into the source material like we did, the goal for this deep dive gets really clear. First, we need to unpack the amazing, often invisible sensory tools these animals use.
Their navigation systems.
Right. And second, we have to look at well, frankly, the surprising human-made hurdles that are popping up everywhere and threatening these ancient journeys.
Okay, let's set the stage first.
Yeah.
What exactly is migration in scientific terms? It's not just any movement, right?
No, not at all. The key things scientists look for are three characteristics. First, regularity. It's usually seasonal, cyclical,
Like clockwork.
pretty much. Second, directionality. It's long distance and they have a specific goal, a destination. And third, maybe the most important, commitment.
Commitment. How so?
The animals really commit. They leave where they are, determined to reach that distant place no matter what. It's driven by, well, pure necessity.
Survival needs.
Exactly. Survival, finding mates, adapting to climate, finding food. Think of the Serengeti wildebeest, always moving for fresh grass, or that monarch butterfly needing specific conditions to survive winter. It's basically written into their biology.
A mandatory journey. Okay, so let's get into the toolkit that makes this possible, because it's way beyond just instinct, isn't it? These are like natural super navigators.
Totally. Forget your phone's GPS. Let's call it their advanced navigation toolkit.
I like that. Where do we start?
Well, the most obvious, maybe, is celestial navigation, using the sky.
The sun and stars.
Precisely. Lots of animals use a sun compass. Birds, sea turtles, even bees and monarchs.
But
here's the tricky part.
the sun moves.
Exactly. So just heading towards the sun won't work for long. They need a really accurate internal biological clock to compensate for the sun's movement across the sky. Otherwise, they just fly in circles.
Okay, needing an internal clock is already pretty mind-bending. But what about night? The stars also move, but differently. That seems even harder.
It is complex, yeah. But some are masters. Arctic terns, for instance, manage their global trek using both the sun and the stars. It's like they have this built-in star chart.
Amazing. But wait, you mentioned insects earlier. The source material had a real aha moment there, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Get this. African dung beetles, specifically one called Scarabaeus zambesianus, they navigate by rolling their dung balls in straight lines using the Milky Way.
Seriously. The Milky Way.
Yeah.
A dung beetle.
Yep. Or sometimes just bright clusters of stars. They are, as far as we know, the only insects that use the galaxy itself for orientation.
I just can't get over that image. A beetle rolling its little ball, guided by the galaxy.
Okay. It shows how widespread this star nav capability is.
All right, so from visible light in the sky to invisible forces. Let's talk about magnetoreception. Using the Earth's magnetic field. This sounds like sci-fi.
It kind of does, but it's absolutely critical, especially for animals crossing vast, featureless areas like the open ocean or flying above clouds. Think sea turtles, pigeons, many birds.
How does it work for, say, sea turtles? The sources mentioned hatchlings.
Right, so loggerhead hatchlings emerge from the nest, and it seems they're already sort of programmed to recognize specific magnetic characteristics like a magnetic signature for a general area.
A magnetic address. You mean the field is different enough in different places?
Exactly. It varies in intensity and inclination angle across the globe. So they seem to have this innate map sense. They use it initially, maybe combined with wave direction, to get out to open ocean. Then as they mature, they use the subtle differences in the magnetic field to figure out where they are relative to, say, their home beach.
Like a built-in magnetic map and compass. Incredible. And monarch butterflies use it too, but differently.
Yeah, they use what's called an inclination compass. They don't sense the field's strength so much as the angle at which the magnetic field lines dip towards the Earth.
Ah, so the angle tells them if they're heading towards the equator or away from it.
Precisely. Poleward or equatorward. And what's really fascinating is that this magnetic sense in monarchs seems to need ultraviolet light, UVB light, to even function properly.
Wow, so they're combining sunlight, UV light, and magnetism. just to know which way to go. It's never just one thing, is it? They layer these strategies.
Never just one thing. And they add other techniques too, like path integration, sometimes called dead reckoning.
Right, like desert ants finding their way back to the nest.
Exactly. They basically keep track of their turns and the distance covered using internal cues, their sense of balance, how many steps they took. It allows them to calculate a direct route back home even without landmarks. Rodents use it too. It's like an internal backup system.
Okay, this toolkit is seriously impressive. Let's zoom in on one species where navigation is absolutely crucial for survival.
Mm.
The salmon. Their journey home is legendary for its precision.
It really is. And connecting it back, salmon migration is maybe the ultimate test of this multisensory navigation. It's all about reproduction.
The driving force is getting back to that exact stream where they were born. How? The main theory is smell, right? Olfactory imprinting.
That's the widely accepted hypothesis, yeah. As juvenile salmon swim downstream towards the ocean, their sense of smell basically takes a snapshot, imprinting the unique chemical signature of their home stream.
They remember that smell for years while they're out in the vast ocean. What exactly are they smelling that's so unique and stable?
Well, research points strongly towards dissolved free amino acids, or even DFAAs, the specific mix of these amino acids in the water.
Amino acids. Not like pine needles or something.
Probably not mainly that. The source seems to be the biofilms, those complex communities of microbes living on the stream bed. They produce a relatively stable and unique DFAA signature for that specific location.
So the microbial life creates a more reliable fingerprint than, say, runoff from the land.
That seems to be the idea. It's less affected by short-term changes like rain or seasons compared to volatile plant smells. It's a consistent chemical postcode, if you like.
A chemical postcode.
Yeah.
Love it. And this whole homing drive isn't just memory, it's physiological too, tied to their bodies getting ready to reproduce.
Absolutely. The timing is critical. It's regulated by hormones, specifically the brain pituitary gonadal axis, or BPG axis.
Yeah.
This whole system ramps up as they mature and get closer to spawning time.
And there's one hormone that's key.
Yes, salmon gonadotropin releasing hormone, SGNRH. Its levels peak right when the fish are thought to be making those crucial final decisions, discriminating between different stream smells to find the right one. The body's essentially shouting, "Find home and now W."
Okay, hormones firing, memory kicking in. What about the memory part? How strong is it? Did the sources show how it works?
There was some fascinating research on sockeye salmon. Scientists used NMDA receptor blockers. These chemicals interfere with memory formation and recall in the brain.
And what happened?
When they gave these blockers to the salmon, it took them significantly longer to find their way home. It strongly suggests those NMDA receptors are vital for actually recalling that imprinted smell memory years later.
That's amazing neurological detail. But it brings up an interesting point. From the sources, are all salmon equally good at finding home? Is perfect accuracy always the best strategy?
Apparently not. Take pink salmon in Japan. They're the most widespread species there, but they're actually the least accurate homers. Only about 59% get back to their exact natal stream.
Less than 60% compared to other salmon.
Yeah, species like chum and masu salmon are much higher, like 75% to 85% accurate. It raises this really interesting idea. Maybe for pink salmon, being a bit inaccurate, straying sometimes, is actually an evolved advantage.
How so?
Well, if some fish stray and colonize new streams, it increases genetic diversity across the whole population and helps the species expand its range, makes them more resilient in the long run.
So sometimes a little imperfection helps the species survive better.
Wow.
Counterintuitive, but cool.
It is.
But unfortunately, whether their navigation is perfectly precise or strategically imprecise, it's now facing huge challenges from us. The sources were pretty stark. Nearly half of protected migratory species are declining.
It's a really worrying statistic. And the threats aren't just the obvious ones, like dams or fences anymore. The State of the World's Migratory Species Report highlights 5 big obstacles that are maybe less obvious, but really pervasive.
Okay, let's walk through them. The first one, agricultural expansion. The numbers were kind of shocking.
They really are. Globally, the amount of new cropland being created each year almost doubled between 2004 and 2019. We went from about 5 million hectares a year to nearly 9 million.
Wow. And the impact.
It just fragments and shrinks the habitats they rely on. Think about Kenya's Loita Plains. That increased farming intensity is directly linked to losing maybe 100,000 wildebeest over 40 years. Their grazing lands are just disappearing.
Okay, that's habitat loss. What's the second obstacle? Power lines but not just the risk of getting electrocuted.
Right. Electrocution is definitely a huge problem, especially for large birds like the great Indian bustard, which is critically endangered partly because of it. But the lines themselves, even if safe, act as behavioral barriers.
Behavioral barriers.
Some birds just seem programmed to avoid flying near them or under them. Maybe they look like predator perches or just unnatural obstacles. So they make these long detours around the power line corridors.
Wasting energy they desperately need for the migration.
Exactly. It adds miles and drains their reserves, making the whole journey much riskier.
Okay, number 3, marine noise pollution.
Hmm.
We hear about ship strikes, but the sources emphasize the noise itself.
Yes. The constant underwater noise from commercial shipping, military sonar, offshore drilling, even wind farm construction.
Yeah.
It's becoming a major issue.
How does it affect animals like whales?
For deep diving animals like beaked whales or narwhals, sustained noise can force them to change their diving patterns, maybe surface too quickly, or abandon feeding areas. Imagine trying to follow complex directions with loud sirens blasting constantly. It causes immense stress, can lead to injury, strandings. It's like an invisible wall blocking their path.
An invisible wall. That's a powerful image. Number 4 is light pollution. Artificial light at night.
Yeah, this one is a big killer, especially for night migrating birds like songbirds and waterfowl. The lights disorient them or sometimes attract them, causing millions to fatally collide with buildings, towers, windows.
Particularly in cities, they might use as stopover points.
Exactly. They fly towards the light and straight into structures.
Is there any good news on this one? Can we fix it?
Actually, yes. This is one area where solutions can be relatively simple. Studies show just turning off unnecessary building lights during peak migration seasons can drastically cut collision numbers.
Just flicking a switch.
Pretty much.
Right.
And for specific cases, like sea turtle hatchlings getting confused by beachfront lighting,
Right, they need to head towards the ocean horizon.
yeah, so conservationists are finding that using specific types of light, like red LEDs, which the hatchlings don't see as well, can really help guide them safely to the sea without disorientation.
Okay, so some solutions exist. Finally, number 5, the timing mismatch due to climate change.
This one's really subtle but potentially devastating. Migration timing evolved over millennia to match peak conditions, food availability, safe breeding spots. But climate change is scrambling those cues.
Like the barnacle geese example.
That's a perfect, heartbreaking example. The geese are arriving earlier in the Arctic because the snow is melting earlier. That part they've adapted to. But their internal trigger for laying eggs hasn't shifted as much.
So the chicks hatch.
Too late.
Yeah.
They hatch after the peak availability of the nutrient-rich plants they need. So they're more likely to starve right at the start of life.
Wow. And it's not just climate change. Other human activities mess this up too.
Right, things like energy development can disrupt the landscape and change when vegetation emerges, throwing off the migration timing for animals like mule deer that need to follow that green wave of spring growth precisely.
So pulling this all together, we have these animals with truly extraordinary navigation skills using stars, magnetic fields, pinpoint smell memories, and they're running smack into these huge, often invisible obstacles created by us. Agricultural sprawl, noise, light, messed up timing.
It's a collision course, really, the precision of nature hitting the unpredictability of human impact. The sources do show solutions are being worked on things like protected corridors, better lighting policies, habitat restoration.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the monarch butterfly for a final thought.
Okay.
Their whole multi-generational migration relies on the butterflies overwintering in Mexico, experiencing a specific cold trigger. That period of cold seems essential to recalibrate their internal compass correctly for the spring flight north.
They need the cold to know which way to go in spring.
It seems so. It resets their sun compass properly.
Yeah.
So the question is, if climate change reduces or eliminates that specific cold period in their wintering grounds, could losing that single sensory cue, that environmental trigger, could that break the entire chain? Could it unravel one of the most iconic migrations on Earth?
Just losing the cold trigger.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's something really profound to think about, you know, how interconnected and sometimes fragile these incredible journeys are. A delicate web of life on the move.
A delicate web indeed. Thank you for joining us in this deep dive.